Hi, my name is Antonio Sarzi, and I'm a double bass performance major at University of the Pacific. And here today I'm going to be talking about a chamber piece that I've done in the past called Duo for Double Bass and Violin or Viola by Tom Knific. And a little bit about Tom Knific. He's a bassist, of course. He's a composer. He's an educator also. He teaches bass, double bass, and jazz guitar at Western Michigan University. And he's also the head of the jazz program there. So he has varying talents, to say the least. So he's worked with many jazz influencers, and also started two groups, Opus 21 and the Tom Knific Quartet. Him and his family, they're very musical. Him and his wife. His wife's a violinist, and his two sons they play piano, and the other one also composes. And so, with that being said, Tom Knific in this duo, this duo was commissioned by Thomas Martin back in 2005, and he went to stay with Martin in his property in England. And so during that time there, he got to experience many of the English customs and the English towns that are there. And he spent a lot of time with Martin trying to trying to find inspiration and trying to compose this piece for him. And they had the idea, both of them had the idea, to base the first movement off of a town called Henley and Toms. Not Thames, Toms. And so this town goes back all the way to the 12th century. There's so much history in this place. It survived wars, famine, natural disaster, and the town is still has that. The town still has that 12th century, those 12th century buildings, all the way up to the modern buildings that they have. And you can hear that in the piece. There's this ostinato theme that's played in the bass that continues, that shows up and continues throughout the whole piece, and it's kind of like a foundation for it. And the violin or viola and the bass have their additions to it that they add, but this ostinato pattern always comes back. And it's kind of a reminder of the past that, yes, we're building upon this. That we're building upon this work, but we always remember what got us there, and a lot of that is kind of like it just flows through. So you see the new sites, and you're rowing. The town is very famous for rowboats, and so you would just flow by and see an 18th century building, and then you'd see some modern building, and then you'd see something from the 13th century. So, but there's always the foundation there. You always see the foundation, and you just flow through. It's not very dramatic or romantic for that matter, but it's very much a piece of just the flow of time. Just you get to see, but a place that always keeps their foundation, always remembers where they came from. And so the second movement, the final movement of the piece, deals a lot with Martin's horses that he owns. And so Martin, with his time at the the LSO, excuse me, he was principal there for a long time. He was able to amass a collection of horses, and so at his property, Knific got to see the horses in action, and got to see them ride, and got to see them play, and got to see them do everything. And so he wrote this piece. This piece is a combination of Western European and then the blues, and there's a lot of American Western music that's in there. It feels like the old movies, the old Western movies. It feels a lot like that. It feels a lot like a score that you hear from a John Wayne movie or a Henry Fonda movie. Not the spaghetti westerns, but the American westerns that were made at the time. And you really feel the excitement Even we just seen this historical town and this historical river that's seen so much, and then all of a sudden we get to ride out in the plains, in the grassy hills of England, with these horses, and it's very much a high energy piece. It's very fun. It's very energetic. It's kind of, here's the foundation of where we're at, and then we're moving on. We're moving on to something grand, some idealistic, fun, exciting moment. And one of those things with the piece is that there's also an ostinato pattern. It's played both in the violins, both in the violin or viola and the bass. And this pattern is just, it's like the galloping theme. And then the melody comes in on top of that. And the melody theme is very much like lush and just grander in the scheme of things. And the piece is the piece is very fun. The viola gets the challenge of having to hit those notes, especially the weird funky harmonics and the weird funky licks. And there's a lot of jazz influence, of course, with the blues, and then just the rhythms. It's very, very much a groove-oriented piece. And if the groove is not there, the piece falls apart. Other than that, thank you for listening to me, and we'll see you all soon. Bye-bye.